Oleksandr Usyk has reacted to Alex Pereira's recent remarks about wanting to become a three-sport world champion. Poirier, who has held both the middleweight and light heavyweight titles in Glory Kickboxing and the UFC, expressed his goal of moving to boxing and challenging Usyk for the heavyweight title. In response, Usyk said he would be open to facing Poirier in the ring. Speaking to TNT Sports, Usyk stated, "First is who wins this next fight on February 22nd. Next, maybe a show fight with Alex Pereira. Maybe why not?" Gilbert Burns and Renato Moicano have spoken out against Dean Thomas for being disrespectful towards Sean Strickland after his loss to Dricus du Plessis. Dean came down pretty hard on Sean, criticizing his to-the-death mentality before the fight and saying that Sean just isn't that guy. Speaking to Ariel Helwani, Dean said, "He's not that guy. People think that I'm being mean. I'm not being mean. I'm not that guy. Not many people are that guy. Du Plessis is that guy, but Strickland is not. He might have been there a couple of times in his career or whatever, but that's not who he is now. We've seen it his last couple of fights. He's just not willing to go in and be the dog that he told us he was." On the Show Me the Money podcast, Gilbert and Renato called Dean's remarks disrespectful, particularly given his background as a former fighter.
It's just Philly shell and jab.
I think that's bad to say.
I don't like
because
that
the guy was a former champion, like you or not, like him or not.
No, and he went toe to toe.
No, he beat Adesanya.
Yeah, and he went forward. I was there in Sydney, and I was.
He went on the Alex Pereira fight. He was ready to fight.
I don't. I think that's very disrespectful. Especially to a former fighter to say that from an actual fighter.
You guys are starting a beef with Dean Thomas.
I'm cool with Dean Thomas, but I just don't agree with what he said. I think I'm very respectful, but I think he's a real fighter. So sometimes the fight is complicated. Sometimes you don't get the reading. Sometimes it's not your day. And to be honest, Dricus, we talked about that a couple times. He's so awkward. It's hard to get it going with the guy that hits you so hard from freaking different angles. Crazy defense is hard, right?
Let's talk about that because that was funny because I remember Anderson Silva on his prime. That division, I don't know if he's good or not, but to watch that man, people are gonna fucking talk trash to me because I just lost, right, in the first round. But to me, that was not like a championship fight. You know what I mean? Because they were so...
Which fight?
Dricus
and Sean.
Okay.
There was like... I was watching that and say, man, this is look like amateur kickboxing, you know what I mean? That was not... I don't know, man. That doesn't look like a championship fight.
I know what you're saying, but... Bro, Dricus has a freaking heart. I respect Dricus so much, especially after what he said. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, this guy now.
Sean Strickland has responded to the recent comments made by his coach, Eric Nicksick, after Sean's loss to Dricus du Plessis. Nicksick appeared on the Ariel Helwani show and expressed his disappointment with Sean's performance. He said he was uninspired by how Sean fought and suggested that Sean needs to reassess his commitment to MMA, adding that he prefers to coach fighters who are motivated by more than just money. In response, Sean posted a lengthy video on social media criticizing Nicksick for airing these thoughts publicly rather than having a private conversation. Despite his frustration, Sean confirmed that he and Nicksick will remain friends, but mentioned that Nicksick will likely be cut from his corner in future fights.
All right, guys, keep tagging me about this whole Eric thing, and goddamn it, because I like Eric. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. We have so many great guys at Extreme, Nate, Ray Cepho. We have so many savages that I would love to corner me. But, man, that entire fight camp was just a struggle. Like, it was a fucking struggle. And, guys, we all have excuses as to why we didn't win or why we won and we shouldn't have won. We all fucking have excuses, and they don't fucking matter. The only reason why I'm making this video is because Eric had to go do a fucking podcast and become an influencer. So now I gotta kind of explain myself. Opportunity. And not just with fighting. Opportunity never comes when it's supposed to. It doesn't matter what the circumstances, what the situation is. You will never wake up and say, no, today is the perfect day for opportunity. It will come at the worst fucking time. It will come at the worst time. And how many times it comes and you raise your hand and you say, you know what, I'm fucking ready. A lot of times you fail. A lot of the times you fail. But a lot of times you don't fail. And it's like, you must say yes. This is not an excuse, but that entire camp was just a struggle of I'm good. Knowing you're not good. I was in Colombia like 7 weeks out, and getting stem cells on a broken bone. Again, bone healed fine, not an excuse. It just kind of weighs in the back of your head. I was training with that Ritter guy, the submission guy, and he hit me with a whizzer. It was already broken. And dude, I thought my arm fucking snapped. It's like, I gotta go to Colombia. Like, this is fucked. But all camp, this is just in the back of your head. And like, you just keep telling yourself, I'm fucking good. And I think this is just what all men do. Like, all men do this. Like, you look in the mirror and like, even though you know you're not good, you're like, I'm fucking good, dude. You're a fucking man. You sack up. But all camp, dude, whether it be, you know, the staph infection, the broken arm, the having to get a visa that didn't get approved until a week, not being able to get cornermen out there. This entire camp was like a struggle of I'm not good, but me looking in the mirror and saying sack up. And you know, man, nothing away from Dricus. He came here, fought his ass off, fucking broke my nose. Like, dude, fucking hell yeah, man. Like, hats off, dude. You fought like a fucking man. But, you know, you guys, I don't fight to put belts on the wall. I don't fucking fight because, you know, Eric wants to go do a fucking fancy podcast. That's not why I fight. Before fighting, you guys, I mean, I had like the lowest self-esteem, fucking couldn't even look at myself in the fucking mirror. Like, I didn't even know what like dignity was, you know, when I first started fighting. And kind of through fighting, man, like I've learned like so much. I've met so many fucking amazing people through the UFC and fighting and fight fans. Like, you guys have changed my fucking life. Like, you've made me grow so much as a person in the ring and out of the ring. And that's why I fight. I fucking love it. I got a lot of fights left on my contract. I love fighting. I'm going back to the gym. I'm working my ass off. And I'm starting from fucking square one. And that's just kind of how life is, dude. Like, you'll always get a step back where you're like, all right, well, I got to start over again. And you have a choice. You either sack up and you do it, or you fucking quit. And I'm going to sack up and do it. And you know what? Fuck you guys. I broke my nose like fucking 3 times in that round. And every single time, I didn't quit. I didn't go sit on the stool and say, hey, my nose is broken, I can't fight. I adjusted every fucking time. And I thought, you know, man, maybe I'll get lucky, maybe I won't. But at the end of the day, dude, we all have a fucking story, and no one gives a fuck. I'm grateful for my life. I love my job. I love my fans. I support you guys just as much as you support me. Back in the gym, sack up, and on to the next.
Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen defended Sean Strickland from the incredible amount of backlash he has received over his performance at UFC 312. A significant portion of the MMA community has criticized Sean for claiming that he would fight Dricus du Plessis to the death, yet not reflecting that aggressive mindset during the fight itself. DC, in defense of Sean, explained that sometimes plans don't go as expected, and not every fight plays out the way a fighter envisions. DC said, people are kind of piling off on this guy. It's kind of crazy how much people are piling on when, sure, he lost, but sometimes you get beat, you know? What's crazy, I get it. Some people can say, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Dude, sometimes it just doesn't work. Your intention is to go out there and die. Then some guy kicks your butt to the point you're like, man, I might actually have to die fighting this dude. And you're like, I don't want to do that. You have the right to pivot and turn. Chael Sonnen also voiced his confusion regarding the significant backlash Sean Strickland has faced. He expressed empathy for Sean, reflecting on his own experience with the intense pain of a broken nose during a fight. Chael stated that despite the criticism, he felt a sense of pride for Sean. Chael said, yeah, why so much hate? Did he do bad? I was proud of his effort. Having your nose broken, it hurts really bad. Breaking a finger or breaking a nose, 2 small things. But I'll just tell you, the pain is really immense. And to watch Sean eat it and stay in the fight, the math was already against him with the broken nose. He was not going to win that fight. He did not have the power. He was not going to find the guy, and the math was against him. So he can stay out there for another 12 minutes, tying and whooping because it was honorable, or he could quit. He chose to stay in there and take a whooping. Michael Bisping and Paul Felder believe that Sean Strickland may never fight for a title again. Following his narrow split decision loss to Dricus du Plessis in their first fight, they felt that Sean should have made adjustments and added more tools to his game for the rematch. However, Sean was dominated by Dricus in their second bout, and both Bisping and Felder are now doubtful that Sean will ever have another shot at the belt.
Offensive things, and then you don't necessarily back that up to the death like you talk about. You don't have to fight to the death. You don't have to be that fighter to be a very talented fighter and to be a champion in the UFC. But sure as shit, if you're gonna say all that stuff and you're gonna try to piss people off and then you don't adjust and then fight on the fly like that. Dom's right. He's tough as shit. There's no doubt about that. His nose was shattered off the side of his face and he tried to set it back. He hung in there and took a lot of big shots. But for me as a fan, and a fan of his coach that's sitting on the couch here on Saturday here on the East Coast while you guys were down there in Sydney. I was here with a couple of buddies like scratching my head. Like, what do you, I know you're better than this. I know you know how to wrestle. I know you know how to do something other than just throw teeps and jabs, man. He never opened up again. And now that might have been the last shot at ever having that belt.
Well, it certainly is in the near future. It's just a given. You've had 2 title fights out of your last 3. They're really hard to come by. You've been beaten by the same guy twice now. And that one, there's no discussion. It was a clear-cut decision for Dricus. I remember Dricus on my...
Kamaru Usman has pointed out middleweight fighter Nassourdine Imavov as having the best chance of dethroning Dricus du Plessis. Usman believes that Imavov, who recently knocked out Israel Adesanya, has a strong chance of defeating Dricus on the feet, despite Imavov's unanimous decision loss to Sean Strickland in 2023.
But for him, what's next for DDP? I would say Khamzat. From what I saw yesterday, there's still a big question mark on potentially two guys that I think have a great shot at maybe dethroning a guy like DDP. I do think if he fought a guy like Nassourdine Imavov the way that he fought Sean Strickland last night, I don't like that fight for DDP. I don't like
Really?
that. I don't like that. When you just think about it, when you primarily stand up with, we saw how the stand-up was with Israel. When you primarily just stand up with Nassourdine Imavov, man, he might be the sharper guy besides Israel Adesanya right now with the striking in that division. So, I mean, you've got Nassourdine Imavov, you've got Israel, and you've got sharp hands. I would have to go also with Brandon Allen's really, really good hands. So I think definitely I want to see those 2 fights first. Khamzat Chimaev, potentially Nassourdine Imavov, then potentially move up. Because at that point, yes, you can say, I've gone through that top 5 in that division. Yeah, I deserve to move up. So it makes sense. But if he does move up, Henry, like you were saying, I don't know if I favor him against Alex Pereira. That's blasphemy.
Colby Covington is still pushing for a fight with Dustin Poirier, despite Dustin's long-standing refusal to entertain the matchup. Dustin has made it clear he would never face Colby in the octagon, stating that the situation would escalate to such an extent that it would end with both of them getting arrested.
That fight, would you take it?
No, I'll never fight Colby in an octagon where there's finances on the line. If I fight Colby, we're both going to jail. I'm going to jail. I'm not going to fight him in the octagon. He's not making money off of my career and what I've done. This is something different, you know. You will never see me fight Colby Covington in the UFC.
Currently, Dustin Poirier is working with the UFC to schedule his final fight, which he plans to have this year in New Orleans. During one of his recent live streams on Twitch, Colby Covington stated that he would be more than happy to be Dustin's retirement opponent.
Angel Bands, I would love if it was Dustin versus Colby. You know I want that fight more than anybody in the world. He's the one that got me kicked out of that gym. He's the one that, oh, Colby's such a meanie head. He said such mean words. But, you know, I treat everybody with respect and class. Unlike him, he treats people like shit. He walks all over them. Fans I've seen come up to him in the gym, hey, can I get a picture? No, he just pats him away. He acts like he's too big for people and too good. And he has a big ego, so I would love to smash that ego. But it's okay. If he wants to go into retirement without fighting me, he's my bitch forever, for life. I own that soul.
Ilia Topuria may have accidentally revealed that the UFC is working on a super fight between him and Islam Makhachev. Ilia, who would be moving up from featherweight to lightweight, is looking to challenge Islam for a second title. Earlier today, Islam hinted that Dana White had something special lined up for his next fight, though he couldn't announce any details yet. Speaking to Match TV, Islam said, "I can't announce it yet, but there's an offer that we need to sit down with the team and think about. Because there are options, we need to decide together what to do. There is an option in my weight class and there is an offer from the UFC, but let's wait for now." Ilia Topuria made an appearance on the Full Send podcast today, and when questioned about the potential fight with Islam, he said, "The UFC is, in fact, working on it." Ilia said, "I really believe I can beat the current champion, Islam. I like to fight with people that the fans think it's going to be very competitive. With Islam, I'm going to have that." Ilia was then asked, "Why do you think the UFC doesn't want to make it happen?" Ilia continued, "I don't think that they don't want to make it happen. It's in the works. They are trying to figure out some things. He's going to have a hard time with me, and something he knows and we all know is the only thing I need is one punch. At some point, I will connect that punch. Everything will depend on what God will decide if he wants to send Islam to sleep or not. Who knows? I know that." And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos.